First, Sandra Bullock moved out of the house, and now she's being seen out in public again. Thank goodness. I was starting to feel a little Grey Gardensy there. And according to new photo exclusives from Entertainment Tonight, she's no longer wearing her wedding ring. Is this a symbolic move to telegraph that she's done with Jesse James and ready to move on with her life? With me to discuss this and much more is John Fugelsang. It's really not that easy to say your name. Actor and comedian. Nancy Giles, social commentator and contributor to CBS Early Morning. And John Robbie Bates, playwright and the creator of Brothers and Sisters, a great show. Unfortunately, he's no longer with them, but still. It
was great when you were with him.
It was great when you were with them.
It still has its
But he
charm.
created the show.
That's cool.
I love it.
Yeah. Without him, it's orphans.
You're rich. Okay, sorry.
That's for off the air, actually.
Okay, all right.
No.
So now let's talk about Sandra, which is on the air. She had to come out eventually, right?
Right.
So she's out now. She had to come out of the house. What does it mean? Why is she making a big, like, sort of a to-do about not wearing the ring?
Well, is she making the big to-do, or, I mean, were cameras following her around to try to get that left-hand picture? You know what I mean?
Well, come on, let's
Would
be
you
real.
wear the
She
ring
knows.
if you had been, you know,
As a
lied
private
to
person?
kind of from dawn till dusk? You wouldn't wear the ring either, would
And
you?
if your significant other were dancing around with, you know, white supremacist sympathizers, would you still wear your ring?
Well,
Yeah.
I think that, look how pretty she is. What doesn't it do? The fact remains that part of the conversations we've had over the months about this, or weeks, is that she was married to this guy with his Nazi memorabilia, and everybody's like, hello, the girl next door doesn't know that that's what he's into?
Well, first of all, I gotta say, he among you who hasn't cheated on his Oscar-winning wife with a white power tattoo model can cast the first stone. But that said,
Okay.
if she had chosen to stay with him and support it and try and make the marriage work, I would have been right behind it. No one's gonna fault her, especially in Hollywood, for breaking up with a guy who makes Nazi sex tapes. The Nazis didn't make Nazi sex tapes. But I think that by going out with a bare-fingered no ring, that's a lot cheaper than hiring a publicist to make the announcement for her.
Right. Well, she has a publicist, I'm sure.
I happen to have some Nazi sex tapes.
This is
actually.
really, really wrong.
It's a whole
I don't want to be in a panel with these
subcategory.
guys.
That's
This
right.
is so wrong.
Have I got a model for you to do?
Oh, my God.
But I mean,
How could she not know? Except I feel like she didn't know. I think a lot of times
It's a lot of
women
work
don't
to be
know,
a
you know?
movie star. It takes
It
all
is
day
hard
and all
work.
night.
Plus-
And why would you know the motorcycle
We don't even
guy?
know her. That's the thing, but everybody has a little bit invested in it. But I'm sorry. I think she's a good, cool person, and I think he's a jerk.
yeah.
It's the worst thing that happened to her since Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Well, wait. Okay, all right, let's move on to the topic. Let's talk about Oscar-winning actress, another Oscar-winning actress in the news today. The brother of Oscar winner Monique went on Oprah yesterday to apologize for molesting her when they were children. It was easier, I guess, for him to get booked on Oprah than to just pick up the phone and calling his sister directly.
Oh, my God. Oh, man.
You know? Here's, listen to this.
I abused and betrayed the trust of another sibling, my sister, my blood sister. I'm sorry, Monique, I'm sorry. Baby, I'm sorry.
What is this about? I mean, I have Monique's phone number in case he wants to call her. You know, it's like, why does he have to go on television and do this? Robbie?
I don't understand when private life became public and public became entirely public. I don't know. In my family, you were taught to lie, quietly lie until someone got cancer, and not to share these things. You know, I don't understand why it's a sort of it's the end of the world, really. I think.
Well, I just feel like I have to say that
Yeah.
I want to represent the black women in this country who haven't been molested by their brothers and haven't been incested by their fathers. And I know that because I come from a very funny family, that when I do write a book, and I'm working on a book, it won't be part of Oprah's book club because it's too happy.
It's too happy.
There is a huge
Will
segment
anyone
of
buy it,
women.
Nancy?
Not in her world, but I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of that has happened to people, but it's getting so tiresome that every story about a black woman that's beaten, raped, you know, drawn and quartered and stuff like that, I can't handle it.
The
I can't
timing
handle
is
it.
suspect, and that he waited until after the Oscars to do this. And
Right,
an
when she's got
apology-
some cash now, too.
Well, she's
Oh,
had
my
cash for a
God.
while. I mean,
Yeah.
you know Monique. She knows she looked good. But, you know, the thing about, and I love Monique. She's a wonderful person.
is, I like
and she
her.
deserved
You
the
love
Oscar
Yeah,
deeply,
really,
richly, and
deeply.
she knows it. But she's
Okay.
married, sort of. So,
Right.
but here's the thing. This guy, by this guy doing it, apologizing is not the same as taking responsibility for your actions, and he may have done that privately, he may choose to, and whether this was a complete self-serving thing with the parents there like collateral damage, all I can say is every time someone goes public about this, it makes it harder for someone to interfere with a child. And say what you want about this guy yesterday, by his doing that, he's more or less damned himself for the rest of his life, but he has made it tougher for someone to get away with interfering with a child.
You really think so?
The more our grandmothers had no recourse if this was happening to them. Now, the more people talk about it, the more victims, and in this case, an abuser comes forward and takes responsibility, the tougher it's going to be for someone else to get away with it.
I think it teaches them that they can get booked on Oprah.
That's what
on
I say.
Wednesday
Isn't
night.
that weird?
If they just come out.
And where's he going to get booked after this? Now he's going to have the mark of a molester.
Oh, but come on, John. No, he'll get a reality show.
Yeah.
Let's be
No, he will
real.
not. No, he
We're
will
talking
not.
about a
he might-
moral universe. Like there's
Listen, I can think of a few
consequences.
popes that should come forward and make a mea culpa like that more than this guy.
Well, and that would be
A few
just.
popes?
Yes, a few popes, actually. Going
Past
back
and
about
present.
several hundred years of popes should
Okay.
admit this.
Here's another. Speaking of Europe, let's move on to something else. Roman Polanski report. How's that for a segue?
Wholesome story.
Roman
Oh,
Polanski
dear.
wrote a letter to President Obama asking for leniency. We all know what he did. He molested and attacked a 13-year-old girl.
That's
years
right.
and years ago.
And
He's
drugged her.
old
That's
now.
right, and drugged
Guess
her,
who
right.
delivered it? Guess who delivered the letter? French President Nicolas Sarkozy. Okay. Now, how cool is it to have the president of France be your personal mailman?
Courier.
Come on. With,
Like R. Kelly having Obama give a letter to the president of Jamaica. It's fantastic. You know, and this is interesting because, it will only help Obama to reject this. And I mean, there's no way he can even consider the offer. I don't really understand.
It's gross. It's
well,
like
he can't. Can you imagine what the GOP would do to him if he ever delivered that letter? Of did something with that letter?
Plenty of women
like
would do
it,
the same
Sarkozy.
thing. Oh, go ahead.
No,
you go,
no,
and then
you
I'll go.
go.
All I was going to say is I love how the hoi polloi try to manipulate, law and things like that. I mean, I was so surprised to hear that
But this
he's the one who delivered the letter.
It's France, you know, and in France, this is their lingua franca, is sort of sexual, sort of,
Lingua franca. I think that's a very interesting technique.
It's
their
Spanish,
thing.
actually.
It's Latin for the language of, they've been doing this. Didn't
Or is that
anybody
an
ever see
airline? Oh, that's
Les
Aer
Hommes
Lingus. I get them
Dangereux?
mixed
They
up.
deliver letters for other people.
You're
They're
right.
perfumed letters, usually.
Or duels,
I'm
even.
Sure.
I just think it's. I still think
And
Roman
who can blame
Polanski.
him for writing to Obama? I mean, it's not like Obama's busy.
I think he should be kept out of the country for that Oliver Twist remake alone, so we shouldn't let him back in just for that.
You know,
I think he should
I
be
just saw a
prosecuted.
Roman Polanski movie. Did you see the
Yeah,
Ghost
Wanted and
Rider?
Desire.
It's
Oh, the
really
new one.
good.
Oh, his new feature.
Ghost
Yeah,
Rider,
it's
yeah,
fantastic.
really terrific film. You know, now you're an artist in the same sort of category, Robbie. You know, you're a great playwright. I don't know if people realize how great a playwright you are. And Polanski is a great artist. And a lot of people in Hollywood and Europe have rallied around Polanski because he's a great artist. Do you think a great artist should get a pass since this happened many, many years ago and the girl that he molested does not want to press charges?
This is what I think about this. It's become a way for people to sort of impose their own interesting morality on something that has absolutely nothing to do with them. And so we get to feel better about ourselves when we talk about Polanski one way or the other. I actually think it's sort of between Roman Polanski and the law. And everything else seems to be like the pinning of badges on people's chests. I approve, I disapprove. In fact, it has actually nothing to do with anybody. And I've been really struck by that the entire time. It's a litmus test for people of who and what they seem to be.
Okay, we can do one more story if we really go
okay,
fast.
let's go.
Okay, last night at a fundraiser for Barbara Boxer, President Obama took a break from being screamed at by extremists on the right to get heckled by gay rights supporters on the left. Let's watch.
She's passionate about fighting for jobs, jobs with good wages, jobs with good benefits. She's passionate about fighting for California's families. We are going to do that. Hey, hold on a second. We are going to do that.
What, John? You got a headache?
Well, they're not protesting the war. They're protesting that they can't enlist, which they wouldn't do anyway. You want to protest, go to Bill Clinton's house. He's the guy who signed it.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Well, he's not the president anymore.
Yeah, but you know
so
what,
what's
Joy,
the point of going to Bill Clinton's
But to
house?
jump in on what John said, I tell you what gets me. People are angrier with President Obama for trying to undo the actual law that President Clinton enabled. I mean, and look, the don't tell part is built-in shame about who you are. I don't feel like some of the progressive people really understand how politics work and how it takes time
But they're not
to
supposed
undo
to.
these things.
They're not supposed to. They're supposed to fight for this thing in a way that actually makes sense. They're not like the Tea Party guys, you know, ranting and raving, and you know, these are people who put their faith in Obama, in the president, and who've been asked again and again and again to take a back seat.
But look at what he's done.
The Democratic Party will throw gays under the bus just the way the
Absolutely.
Republican Party throws pro-lifers under the bus. It's not a Harry Truman thing where you can sign an executive order and lift this like
But
you
I
said you're
have
getting
to
the
interrupt,
military.
guys. He's having hearings. We've got military people who are saying they're supporting it. Get mad at John McCain.
I understand.
And he's only
Okay.
been in office for a year.
All right, we got to go. Very interesting. Thank you all so much. I know it goes so fast.